Are you there, God? It's me, Kenway. If you're real, knock me unconscious right now. Okay, try again. Dear God, it's me, Kenway. If you're real, stop me from uploading this video. Oh, damn. I guess maybe God just isn't real then. Now, I know what you must be thinking. Doesn't the Bible say not to test God? Well, that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Because the Bible does say not to test God. Specifically in Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 16, when God is giving commandments to Israel through Moses. God says, "Do not test the Lord your God as you tested him at Massah." And again in Matthew chapter 4 verse 7, Jesus said, "It is also written, do not test the Lord your God." Which is good. We have an instance in both the New and the Old Testament telling us not to test God, which means there's no argument to be had about the Old versus the New Covenant. It says right here clear as day that we should not test God for any reason ever. I think you know where this is going. In Malachi chapter 3, God actually gives the Israelites permission to test him. Through the prophet Malachi, God tells the Israelites, you know what? Don't take my word for it. Let's just read it. Malachi chapter 3 verse 10 reads, "Bring the full 10% into the storehouse so that there may be food in my house. Test me in this way, says the Lord of hosts. See if I will not open the floodgates of heaven and pour out a blessing for you without measure." So maybe you're thinking that's not a contradiction because God allows the Israelites to test them. And if that's what you're thinking, fair enough. My wife and I have a rule in our house that our kids can't have sugar past a certain time of day, but we do bend that rule occasionally, so fair enough. I can see that this one instance of God allowing a rule to be bent doesn't directly contradict the established rule specifically because it was God who initiated the test. But surely there are no stories in the Bible where a random person asks to be able to test God and was rewarded, right? In the book of Judges, chapter 6, verses 36 through 40, we see that Gideon does just that. Quote, "Then Gideon said to God, if you will deliver Israel to me by my hand, as you've said, I will put a fleece of wool here on the threshing floor. If dew is only on the fleece and all around the ground is dry, I will know that you deliver Israel by my strength, as you said." And that is what happened. When he got up early in the morning, he squeezed the fleece and wrung dew out of it, filling the bowl with water. Gideon then said to God, "Don't be angry with me, let me speak one more time. Please allow me to make one more test with the fleece. Let it remain dry and the dew be all over the ground around it." That night, God did as Gideon requested, only the fleece was dry and the dew was all over the ground. So not only does Gideon test God and God complies with the test, but Gideon then decides, nah, that's not good enough, and tests God again, directly calling it a test, by the way, and God complies again. And it's not a one-off instance. In 1 Kings chapter 18, Elijah confronts King Ahab and the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel and calls down a fire from heaven to prove that God is true. This was a very public test for God to prove himself real. Starting with verse 24, Elijah says, "Then you can call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of Yahweh, the God who answers with fire. He is God." And the people answered, "That sounds good." In verses 25 through 35, we see the prophets of Baal trying to invoke their God through fire, and we even see Elijah publicly mocking them and their God, meaning that Elijah not only tests God, but did so in such a performative and asshole way that he was kind of being a dick about it. I would have blamed God for not showing up just to embarrass Elijah. But all the way down in verse 37, Elijah yells, "Answer me, Lord. Answer me so that people will know that you, Yahweh, are God and that you have turned their hearts back." Then Yahweh's fire fell and consumed the burnt offering, the wood, the stones, and the dust, and it licked up the waters that was in the trench. When all the people saw it, they fell face down and said, "Yahweh is God." You know what? Let me try that. "Answer me, Lord. Answer me so that people will know that you are God." And add a message right here in this part of the video that let people know that you exist. You know what? Set this bottle of water on fire. Set this bottle of water on fire, God. I tried. what are you going to do? Let's hop over to the New Testament for a moment. In John chapter 20, after Jesus' death and resurrection, Jesus shows up to the disciples in verse 19 and shows them his wounds. After this, the disciples found Thomas and told him that Jesus had resurrected. Quote, "If I do not see the mark of the nails in his hands, put my finger into the mark of the nails, and put my hand into his side, I will never believe." And what does Jesus do? In verse 27, Jesus tells Thomas, "Put your finger here and observe my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Don't be an unbeliever, but a believer." Then after Thomas fingers Jesus, well, there's got to be a better way I can put that. Anyway, then after Thomas fingers Jesus, Jesus tells Thomas that those who believe without seeing are blessed. I just call people who believe without seeing gullible, but I'm not Jesus, so what the fuck do I know? You know what? Let me try again. Jesus, if you're real, show up here right now so I can finger you. Jesus, if you're real, let me finger you. I don't know. He's not here. Maybe he's scared. Maybe my fingers are just too big for Jesus's holes. Who knows? The point is that the Bible is all over the place when it comes to testing God. God tells us not to test him, but then lets Malachi and Gideon test him, twice in Gideon's case. Jesus tells Satan that God is not to be tested, then lets Thomas test him, after claiming that he is God. So I'm starting to think that this Holy Bible might not have been proofread by God before it was published. Either that, or maybe this God just doesn't exist. If you're a Christian and have made it this far in the video, first off, let me say thank you. Listening to people with different opinions is a great way to become a more well-rounded person. Secondly, if you or your pastor has a way to make these verses make sense in a way that isn't a direct contradiction, please let me know down in the comments below. And remember, Jesus was the first man to ever be fingered by another man according to the Bible. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.